Welcome to another episode of the Last of the Real podcast. Tonight we have a special guest, Rodricgus Maxwell, a podcaster whose podcast is entitled A Journey to the Throne. Welcome, Mr. Maxwell. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
That's great. That's great, man.
Now, first thing we want to ask you is can you give our audience a brief history about yourself and what your podcast is about?
Sure. Again, my name is Rodricgus Maxwell. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me on the show.
No problem. No
Very
problem. You're
excited.
welcome.
Very excited, man. I like the topic and everything that you all just sent to me. So I'm very excited. And again, salute to you all for inviting me out. And my name is Rodricgus Maxwell. I'm a minister of the gospel. I'm a mentor, and I'm also a host of the podcast called A Journey to the Throne. I'm in America. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm
Okay.
I'm not originally from Atlanta, Georgia, but I've been in Atlanta for, let's say, like 11 years. So, I'm pretty much vibing with the people down here in Atlanta. So, I'm originally from Georgia, so but Atlanta's a little different. So I've been here a little over 10 years. And just according to like the podcast, I'll say that Journey to the Throne, we deal with, it's me and three other co-hosts, and we sit and we discuss issues that men would discuss normally and maybe in barbershops or just vibing with one another at a game or anything. We talk about issues such as being co-parenting and being a father to your children and things like relationships and just talk about the weight of a man, of everything that's put on a man's back. I think we
Right.
don't sit down and we talk about it enough about how much a responsibility a man really has in this world. And so we give it to our audience as if we're talking to our own son, our own nephews, or our brothers, whether young or old. We just give from our experiences. I think that's what makes it a difference, because it's coming from experience that we went through in life. So, I wish we would have had those things as well, but we're out giving it out to those that need encouragement, that need that advice. So that's basically a journey to the throne right there, man. We've been doing it maybe, like I say, 6 months now. So it's going great.
Yeah, I do like the concept of it because we had a discussion the other day and the topic of support system was brought up, and females have a great support system, but us men don't. We don't really share or have anyone to share with, so to speak.
Mm.
So for you to have a platform like that where you talk about pressing topics that affect us men, that is awesome.
All right, thanks, man. Thanks. It's crazy you just said that, but we that's one thing that we like to talk about is just the responsibilities and getting some type of support. Even our previous episode we just had was called co-parenting, baby mama versus child's mother. So it was very controversial, but we was clearly trying to just show how what to do in those situations as far as like
Right.
getting custody and going legally through the court system to get visitation and those things that we run away from, or things we don't know about because we don't like the government being in our business, or we just
Right.
men that's misinformed, and then we was able to give that information out. So yes, you're right, we definitely need a support system.
Oh yeah, because most of the time we think we give away our rights as men. We don't know that, hey, this actually works for us. This can actually help us.
Right.
So we give away our rights. So I like what you're doing, man. But I need to know, wow, you say you've been doing this for 6 months, right?
Yeah, for 6 months, man.
Yeah. Now, what made you choose to do like, a podcast?
Well, I actually, like I say, I've been involved in ministry, and I see that the way the world is actually going is through social media now. You can reach a lot of people more through social media than on foot now. So
True.
yeah, so I love speaking with people. I love talking about certain issues, and I love helping, motivating, helping, encouraging men and women, but per se men to do better, to grow more in knowledge, and just grow in as being a man. So I say, you know what? Let's put it together on a podcast, since people love watching TikTok, they love watching Instagram, they love your Facebooks and Twitter. So I say, you know what, let's put it on a bigger platform where multiple people can see it at one time, instead of just reaching this person and that person, versus having random people coming up to you. I mean, it's
Right.
through social media, you never know who you encounter. You never know who stumbles upon your podcast. And I think that was a great move right there.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I do agree, man. I do agree.
Hey Maxwell, what's up?
Hey, what's going on?
Yeah.
Let's sing Rodricgus.
Yes, I go by Maxwell,
I'll keep it plain. Sir Max. That's
Mhm.
our here.
Okay.
So I'm a minister of the gospel as well. To God be the glory.
To God be the glory, bro.
I understand. I'm the resident Christian here amongst my very good friends.
Okay.
So hearing this, it really encourages my heart. You know what I mean? Especially the topics that you speak of, because we need a safe space, as we were reasoning recently,
Right.
for us about these topics, so we can really educate the mind of black men in particular, who are vilified so often because of culture and society and how we are portrayed. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
the education is needed to really build up men who are struggling and going through so many issues to become better. So
That's
I
right.
really love doing, especially through the gospel of Christ.
Yes, that's
You know?
right. That's right. That's right. I definitely agree. And I'm glad to hear from you, brother. And glad to be in your presence.
Bless you, man of God. But
Yes,
my
sir.
question is, how did you come up with the name, and
Oh.
what's the behind it?
Okay, coming up with that name. Well, actually, my sister-in-law, they had a podcast for women, and it was called Sisters Talk, and they'll get together and they'll do the same. They'll do what I'm actually doing now. They'll pick a topic and they expound on it. And one day while watching it, man, I know it was nothing. And it's crazy how you asking me this question, because I'm gonna say it just how it came to me. It wasn't nothing but God put it in my spirit, and called A Journey to the Throne. I mean, I can't give credit to no one but him, because I wasn't thinking of doing this. I was watching their show, and A Journey to the Throne came in my thoughts, and I was like, hold up. And then I just began to see the way I'm looking at them talk. I'm seeing me and some guys discussing it. It's like a vision, like an actual vision, seeing these things. And I said, okay, this is what I want to do. I'm gonna get a podcast together, Lord's will, called A Journey to the Throne. And that's how that came about. It wasn't me reading anything. It was God that just put it in my spirit, man. And I saw the vision about it.
Awesome.
Honestly, Maxwell, I was here the entire week thinking he must be a Jay-Z fan.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've liked Jay-Z. I've previously liked Jay-Z. It's a lot. My music is select right now. I really listen to a lot of Christian rap and Christian music. But in my past, of Jay-Z, I've had my share of knocking Jay-Z sometimes. But I'm pretty much from down south Georgia, so we into that down south music. So no, I'm not a Jay-Z fan, but I am a Jay-Z. I do admire the things he's done as far as where he come from and how he's built a platform, and him and his wife, he's married, and those type of things. So yeah, salute out to Jay-Z, man. But no, I'm not actually a Jay-Z fan.
Yeah.
That was me.
Go ahead.
So what would you like to achieve with your podcast?
Oh, I want to influence men, man, with just, I want to motivate them to go further than they actually can see in their situations. Me as a young man, I didn't have the father that, that's giving me insight about your credit, and giving me insight about women, giving me insight about just life, and how to change a tire and do things like that. So, you know, I was missing a lot of pieces growing up. And so those things I had to learn on my own. And you know, you all know when you learn from experience, there's some losses within learning from experiences. And I would love to help men out in those situations. And that's what I want to see from this podcast. I actually want to I actually want to give something out for free that I didn't get when I was growing up. You know, that my uncles wasn't available, my father wasn't available. The men in the community didn't see fit to tell me these things. And this is what I want to do with the podcast. I would love to see men prosper in their lives concerning these issues, especially Black men, like the brother said.
True, preaching the good word. You just mentioned motivation earlier. What's the one big motivation that keep you going as a podcaster?
Well, I think what motivates me is a couple of things. One of the things that motivates me is my passion for it, because there's no one else that's going to motivate you as much as, you know, first God will give you that motivation by giving you the vision and giving you a passion for it. But that passion, if that passion ever goes out, then a lot of times people quit on being in podcasting or quit on their goals. But if you keep that passion burning, even when it's getting dim and you're getting tired, but if you love what you do, you'll find the strength to continue doing what you love, man. And I think that's key at what I'm doing right now. I love what I'm doing. I love sharing information. I love vibing. I love talking. Like right now with you guys, this is what I love doing. I love talking about topics and issues. You know, sometimes they tell me I talk too much. My wife does. You know?
I guess you're just leaving a wonderful legacy behind.
Right.
And we can appreciate that.
Thank you.
So my question to you is, what advice would you give an upcoming podcaster?
What advice? Wow. Again, make sure you stay motivated by your passion. Don't expect family, close friends to support you as you would maybe support them in the things that they're involved in.
Preach.
Because it's for some reason the people, I mean, man, I don't, you saying preach, but you know, a lot of times when you're leading, the sheep don't follow right then. The sheep doesn't follow right then. And sometimes we have to, majority of the times you have to go through a level by yourself in order to bring other people in. A lot of people will that's why you can't hold grudges with people, because sometimes they just don't have the insight and the vision that we have right now by what we're doing. And eventually they begin to walk your way. And that's when you cannot turn them away, because they just wasn't a part of your journey, or you entering in first. So like I say, my advice would be, don't expect no one to cling on to your vision and do your vision for you. You have to put work in yourself, and you have to go forward without expecting others to follow. Very important.
Yeah, true. Words of wisdom.
Very.
Yes, sir. And it comes from experience, though. And see, that's what the show is about. The show is about from our experiences to young men and to older men, of what we've been through to gain the wisdom that we have.
Oh yeah, I really like the concept. I really love the concept. It's something that I would love to be a part of, because like you said, growing up with a father figure, you basically have to fill in that jigsaw puzzle with a lot of things. And when you're filling it in, there will be mistakes along the way, guaranteed.
Correct. And yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, these mistakes though, they're what makes you stronger. They are what makes you who you are.
Right. Builds character.
Yeah, definitely.
And you know, and that's basically like the concept of a journey to the throne. You know, I'm a big fan of king movies. You know, I love when it comes to kingdoms. You know, whether it's Rome, Greece, We look at Africa. You look at the Egyptians. When it comes to kingdoms, I'm a big fan of it. England, and I like the order and the structure of everything. And I like how when the king has a son, he's a prince. He starts off as a prince, right? He's not a king. He's not. I mean, people be saying he's a king. He's not a king yet. They provide him with tutors. They provide him with the general of the army would teach him how to use a sword, teach him about war. You know, they will make sure this boy is properly ready, properly prepared to be sitting on the throne one day when it's his time to sit on the throne. And so that's where a journey to the throne come from, because there's a journey before we as men get to the place where we're sitting and we're operating in the kingdom that we've been given. And that's what the show is based off of. If helping people like tutoring them to get them to where they belong and where they're going to go when it's time for them to sit on their throne and rule what God has given them to do in life, whether it's in your own home, with your family, your job, your ministry, your podcast, you know, anything that a man, because a man is created to lead, and somewhere in his life, he's the lead. Whether, like I say, family, anything. So that's basically the concept of a journey to the throne.
Can I jump in here?
Mm-hmm.
Quickly, at the life of David before he ascended to the throne, before he was ready to face Goliath, he was being prepared, leading the sheep.
Right.
From that humble stage, getting ready for when the task came, he was able to carry it out and defeat Goliath and ready himself, submitting and serving under Saul.
Right.
And then when it was right, he was ready to be king.
Right. That's right. Preach. You're right. And that's what the journey to the throne is about. Preparing every young man to be to his rightful place as a king. And even speaking to the old men that's been kings that have been ruling wrong, you know, been ruling out of just, you know, misinformed or just off their own emotions and feelings and what they think how a king should rule in whatever department they're in.
You know, a lot of us men, and I always talk about this, our pride. We don't like to admit it, but we're full of pride. So because we love to be in control or looked at as strong, when certain things are going wrong, even though in Jamaica we were saying wrong and strong. You know you're wrong, but because of that big-headed mindset, you don't want to admit it, so you want to stay in the way that you are and not try to change and better yourself. So a lot of us need to really break from that mindset and realize how we have been going has not been probably the right way. But no matter how old you are, you can still be mended and molded and become better.
That's right. Yes, sir. I'm definitely in agreement with that.
Yeah, so Maxwell, for new listeners and for our audience members, just tell everyone where they can find your podcast, because we definitely need everyone listening to your podcast.
Okay. Well, I'm currently on Facebook. You can catch me on Facebook Live. You can catch me up. You can go to my personal page, which is Rodricgus Maxwell, and you can follow me and just the lifestyle that I'm, things that's involved in my life. However, though, if you want to log in to the podcast, A Journey to the Throne, you have to spell it with the number 2. It's a journey, the number 2, the throne. And that's on Facebook. And also on Instagram, you can put in A Journey, the number 2, the throne. You can catch us live on there. You can go back and look at previous episodes and just things that we've done throughout our community, and just in interviews I've done with certain guys that, entrepreneurs, or just the podcast co-host of interviews, and just getting a feel of who they are and what they're about. It's a lot we got. I encourage everyone to go out and take a look at the page, man. We have a lot of things on there. You can actually see my past history of where God has brought me from to where I am now, because what you hear now is not what I was doing back then. Back then I was considered a menace to society. And so God has brought me a long way. And like I say, a lot of the experience and the wisdom that comes from experience came from a lot of sacrificing and pain and hurt. yet, though. It's all on that page, A Journey to the Throne, on Facebook and on IG. So I would love to, for some viewers to come on out and join us. Not only do you just watch the show, we also have you engaged with comments. As you're putting comments in, which we're dialoguing back with you while we're live on our podcast at the time. So I definitely encourage you all to come out and join us.
Okay. Yeah. So everyone, that's, Mr. Maxwell himself with his podcast, A Journey to the Throne. Everyone needs to check that out, Need that role model in your life.
Yes, sir.
That special someone in your life, that father figure in your life. We need that scaffolding as men. So check him out on Facebook, like he said, A Journey to, number 2 to the Throne, and on Instagram.
Yes, sir.
Now, Maxwell, we're glad you're staying with us because we're moving into our, topics for this Sunday. And one of the topics we want to talk about is, should sex offenders be made public in Jamaica? Right? We know it's already public in the United States, but we want to know, do we think Jamaica should adopt the same principle and make sex offenders public in Jamaica?
Wow. So it's not, so it's actually not public in Jamaica.
No, it's not.
Okay. So I mean, just a quick question. So is it, tell me a reason, do they have reasons why they haven't made it public? Because I'm not familiar with the laws over in Jamaica, but why they won't make it public? Or is this a discussion that they having also over in Jamaica?
See, I think one of the reasons that they don't want to make it public is Jamaica has a culture of jungle justice. And, that's something that we're going to discuss in depth as well.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think Jamaica has a culture of jungle justice. So maybe for the safety of these offenders, they don't want to make it public. Maybe it could also be where they don't have the resources to make it public and keep track of these offenders.
Right.
That's what I personally believe.
Okay, yeah, because I do know over there, it's like I said, I had some homeboys and from Jamaica, and no, they don't play that. They don't play that.
Right.
They don't play homosexuality either. So I've heard of how it go down over there in Jamaica. So that's why I asked that question.
Yeah, all the stories you've heard are, if not true, close to being true.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, and to your question, Brian, the answer is yes, 100%. But Maxwell asks a great question as well. Why is it not established as yet? And that is a great point. You're saying that because of the jungle justice, right? Because if people get access to this database and find persons on it who commit such act, they will probably go out and hunt them down, right?
Right.
I believe that we're a culture of discrimination as well. And if such person commit certain acts, right, and then did this time went to prison and changed his life around, what are the possibility of that person now getting a job back into society and to be able to take care of himself or even his family?
Great question.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So I've actually had the chance to minister with Tobylane before. As a have had a couple of jobs as a staffing manager for a staffing company, and they was some of my employees or some of our employees, and they need rides home, or sometimes there's some great excellent workers because they just got out of prison and trying their best to live a different life. And I see how society is not forgiving. They're already not forgiving for when it comes to the life I was living. I'm formerly a ex drug dealer, Spent, like I said, my testimony, I did federal time. So, when I come home, I have to deal with always having to check off I got a felon, and they look at you a certain type of way. However, though, I didn't care about how they looked at me because I knew God had a plan for me. But when I saw them struggling and trying their best to get ahead, and they can't go by a church, they can't go by schools, it's like they'll never be forgiven for those things. And I get that. I understand that burden that they carry, but I also understand the flip side of the safety of the children, because just say someone backslides, say someone falls vulnerable, and now they have committed the same act upon a child that we have allowed them to be around. I've actually experienced not taking, even though the brother was, so, talking about the word, and he was involved in, trying to change his life. However, though, we was having Bible study at one of the brothers' houses, and he had number of daughters over there. So I had to make a decision. He didn't ask about the Bible study, but I knew that I normally would invite people to the Bible study, but this guy didn't, because I didn't want to take a chance of putting him in that situation. And also my brother not knowing that I'm bringing someone like that by the house. So it's up for grabs. Like you see one side, but then you see the other side, and that's a difficult decision right there, man. But we have to protect society and our children as well.
No, we definitely do have to protect our children, but like you said, it is a very, very sticky situation because, like you said, Jermaine, society isn't forgiving. No, if in Jamaica, if you're registered and it's already hard enough to get a job, if you're a registered sex offender, getting a job is almost impossible. Reintegrating in society now becomes also almost impossible. And to be honest, Maxwell, Jamaicans are less forgiving than Americans when it comes to certain things.
Right.
So can you imagine that scorn you felt, even though you tried to turn your life around? Multiply that by 100. That is the scorn that's going to be associated with them. But it is a sticky situation because you have to protect your children, right? Because if we can't protect our children, we're failing as parents, we're failing as upstanding members of society then.
Right.
It's just one of those where our culture is so unforgiving. I don't know if I can say 100% yes, I support sex offenders being made public.
Right.
And another thing as well, Brian, our justice system will need to be in tip-top shape to have something like this, because it's already bad enough when innocent people go to prison, right? You can
Right.
imagine if an innocent guy get labeled with this title and then spend that amount of time in prison. So the resources and stuff like that will have to be in great shape. Corruption will definitely have to be at a minimum as well.
No, and the thing is, Jermaine, a sex offender does not have necessarily mean that you know, troubled a child in. Let's do it like that. It doesn't have to mean you interfered with a child. It could be a case where you were drunk and took a pee beside a playground. It could be something crazy like that, and you're labeled as a sex offender, right? So imagine if it's, let's say worst case scenario, you are drunk, you took a pee against a playground, and you got nabbed by the police because you exposed yourself in the area where children are present or can be present. You're now a sex offender. It's going to be harsh for people that when they look on this database or they look in the Glean or Observer and see your name there under a sex offenders list, they don't know the full behind it. So that scorn, that resentment that you get it may not be warranted.
Right.
And that's in America, right? Because I know they have crazy amount of law over there, right?
Right.
Yeah, you can literally go online right now and based on the state you're in, type in the sex offenders and it brings up all sex offenders around your area.
Yeah, and we don't have that out here. But as a scenario in Jamaica is that maybe a mother could tell a lie on her significant other because certain things were agreed upon. And in
Right.
Jamaica, Brian, once a female go to a police station and make a report, our police don't ask, they jump right into action.
Yeah, yeah. Cape Crusaders, no question asked.
Yeah, that's typically how our justice system work out here.
Now, and you see, that's why the question of if we make it public, how do we, one, protect the children, and two, make sure that the people that are getting on this list aren't subjected to jungle justice and are deserving of being on this list.
I mean, it's hard, Brian. It's hard. Imagine if Maxwell was living in Jamaica, right? And Maxwell just give his testimony that he was a drugs dealer, right? That title would never left him in Jamaica. They would probably
Never,
say,
never.
so the drugs boy, they will turn Christian now, a fool God.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it. I think it's something that maybe down the line should happen because we keep going back to the children. We need something to safeguard them because we cannot have, like, say, a sex offender, teaching PE. Then, you know what I mean?
Right.
That's
Shouldn't.
too much. That's too much temptation.
But
Yeah,
the,
that's too much.
but the thing now is, Brian, because this go even deeper. How would you integrate a sex offender back in Jamaica? Because our prison system are like you're pretty much going as a criminal and you live like an animal.
And you come out as a hardened criminal.
So that in itself would need to change as well.
Oh yeah, I mean, in order for this to happen, the entire system needs reforming. And the system is way, way too old and way too broken anyway. So it's something that does need reforming, right?
Mhm.
But this is a topic that, I don't know how Jamaica would implement this, but it's something that eventually I can see being implemented. My only fear is for culture of this jungle justice.
You see that what you said, the jungle justice, how much of it is justice, Brian?
No, well, that's a very, very good question. And since you brought that up, I think it's the right time to slide into our next topic, you know, jungle justice and what is it? Now
Because
let me give you a
here,
quick definition
let me hear
of
your
jungle justice.
definition.
It says jungle justice is the concept and act of disregarding the rule of law and taking matters into one's hand.
Mhm.
More clearly put, it is the act of handing suspected criminals over to the hand and mercy of an angry mob. Remember that word, mob.
All right.
Two wrongs don't make a right, not now or ever.
So it's not a case where is a court system, right? An unofficial court system that they hear that they hear that you did the crime, right? Caught you
Right,
and said, all right, let's investigate and see what you come up with. They
right.
don't do that. they pretty much go straight into action and just start issue beating,
Punishment.
which is beating, and in some case, death, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Saying that, how much different are you from the person that is the hardened criminal or was doing his or her wrong as well?
There is little to no difference. In my opinion, there is little to no difference because you don't have the right to take a life. Right? You don't have the right to take a life. Yes, things may seem right at the time, but you see the word mob? A mob is always caught up in the frenzy and excitement of an action. And that is one of the problems with the whole jungle justice thing.
And I can understand the jungle justice, Brian, because we know that, for example, robbers tend to terrorize community, right? And
Right.
community members get frustrated, especially if they keep reporting it to the law, and the law takes
Right. Yeah.
forever to come and do anything about it. So we get that frustration. But why is it that when you catch this person, you don't, and
Turn them over to the law.
exactly, you take it a step further and issue out some beating till a person just pretty much going to death.
And you said you answered that question, Jermaine. It's the frustration that people feel with calling the law repeatedly, having their, let's say, like perennial larceny.
Yeah.
You're a farmer and you keep having your livestock taken repeatedly. So
You-
that's you losing your property,
yeah, you're
losing
losing.
income, losing time. That frustration mounts when the police do nothing about it repeatedly. So whenever you do catch that person, that frustration just comes to a head, and that's where things blow up. But I want to ask a question. I don't know if Ryan has anything to say on this, but do you think it deter criminals? Do you think jungle justice or the idea of jungle justice deters criminals?
What you said, deter criminals, like,
Yeah, like stop them, make them think twice. Like, hey, I'm not gonna go on this crime spree or this robbery, or I'm not gonna thief this goat and dress him up as a woman.
well, I see Chavi and up, but let me answer this. I put it this way. I'm pretty sure some criminals in that mob beating the criminal.
True.
If you understand what I'm saying.
True.
That will never stop any criminal from thinking twice from doing his or her wrong.
No, I agree with you.
Can I say
Let's
this
see
quickly?
it.
And the next
Yeah,
question,
go on
and
now.
next, and before you get in on this, Ryan, question, Brian, when someone, a total stranger, go into a community, right, and steal someone animal or something of that nature, don't you feel that that person is getting some intel from someone in the community as well?
It could be, or it just could be a case where, they've done their homework, they did their reconnaissance, and they know what's going on. They must have passed through the community once or twice to know the ins and outs. Or, like you said, they're getting their information from someone.
Yeah.
So it could be either or. Yeah, Ryan, let me hear what you have to say, and then let me hear Travis.
I'm in total disagreement with jungle justice for many reasons. As you saw recently, where the guy abducted the two young ladies, and they came across a young man that looked like him, a man of unsound mind, and they killed him. They attacked him and killed him. You know what I mean? Mistaken identity, because they are in their anger and frustration towards the situation, so they're not thinking, and they have taken an innocent life. And a lot of persons, even in that mob, as I said, are criminals themselves, because them want to project for them anger on other people, and the right situation arise where them can attack and show them aggression, without having any quote unquote consequences of it. They can never agree with that. Allow the law to play out and the police to do their job through the justice system. And then
And
let things happen after.
you're talking the case of mistaken identity with I think his name was Levy.
I can't remember the name of the guy, even the one who did the two kidnappings of the two young
No,
ladies.
the one that did the kidnapping. I cannot remember his name, but I know the one that died was
I,
Levy.
I know the story that Ryan is talking about with the
Yeah,
mistaken identity with the guy of unsung mine, and that is just rather unfortunate.
very.
Condolences to the family, and you see that's where the act of violence will just continue to go around, because now that family will feel pretty much upset, pretty much raging, and could possibly issue their own jungle justice as well.
Yeah, you have a point. But let me hear what Travis has to say now. He's been waiting patient.
Yeah, blessed. Well, honestly, kind of agree and disagree with it because um Brian Brian said it doesn't give you the right to take a life, which is right, but that I guess that's because you're not the law, so it don't give you the right. But back then, or in some countries, when time you're guilty of a crime, you're found guilty of a crime by the judge, and you get death penalty because that person is the law. It gives them the right to take a life. And in many cases, how much person are behind bars that are innocent, that the system said are guilty, which are really not guilty. So I don't really see the jungle justice much different from the system, because you see the same judge in front of you, a judge, how much judge, how much police, how much the jury them a criminal as well, where a judge a criminal. But you see the
Well said.
difference with the jungle justice. There are rules, and there are certain rules you just don't break. Me can be a gunman or me can be a thief. But when you be a rapist now, you just cross the line totally. So me, the gunman and the thief, I will beat you, the rapist. Because there's a different line across there. So you understand? So of course you have criminal, I be criminal, but there are certain different levels of criminal activities
But
where certain people just not agree
but
with.
Chavi, in the good book, it said no sin is greater than the other. So sin is just sin, regardless of
Which is right. Which is right. But if you look at it that way, so that's why I ask, is it that because a person is a law, they give the right to take a person's life?
it
No,
doesn't. I
no.
understand where you're coming from, and that's a different perspective of looking at it. That I think that is very intelligent to the way you look at it.
You see the
But
jungle justice too. As I say with the
yeah,
line, sometimes people lose patience, and sometimes you see you catch a man and him over to the police. By next week, I see a man they say I want free. We are gonna feel.
yeah,
So
yeah.
sometimes the law not be split fairness either. So you have jungle justice come in. And in certain you notice on every case you have a jungle justice. You have noticed the different level of criminal activities a person take it in their own hands.
And it tends to lead to rapists.
Majority, most of the time.
Majority.
You rarely see the community coming out for a good man.
And where I said about a person probably bringing a person inside the community. Then again, you see sometimes that same person who's a rapist or a criminal now, the community know that person, but enough time, them not go and try to figure it out. Sometimes when it reach for them doorstep, them try to act. You see me? So most of the community know the criminals them better than the police themselves. You understand? But when
And
it reach for them doorstep or something, them choose to act. And this so them really want to take jungle justice.
Chavi,
That's a lie.
you brought up a brilliant point with the judicial system. The law itself does take a life in many cases, right? So in some points, I totally understand there's no difference. And it brings me to a point that I want to ask is jungle justice more effective than the judicial system? Because, like you said, Travi, you lose patience with a person. You turn them over to the police, and a week later, it's that same person you see walking the streets or committing that same crime. No, with jungle justice, you catch the person in the act most of the time. Notice I said most of the time, because there are, little flaws. There's flaws in everything. So most of the time, you will catch the person in the act, and you administer your own justice right there and then. Do you think it's more effective than the judicial system?
Can I chime in on this?
Sure.
Oh, sure.
First, I want to ask about the jungle justice. So I like the point that the brother made when he said about the justice system. And a lot of times I see when it comes to that jungle justice, and I've seen it happen, like I say previously, the life that I had previously been living in and involved in, being in prison and incarcerated a lot, you saw how the justice system would hand certain crimes over to the convicts to take care of. Like if you was a pedophile, if you was a sex offender again, if you were a rapist, these are the type of things that they will come and let you know that in cell 223, there's a guy that messed with children in there. So it's like the government be using us, the jungle justice, for their anger or for what they don't like and how they would want to serve justice at times too. Because according to the law over here in America, they just can't kill a sex offender, to take a life. The justice system can't. They'll take a life for a murder. But when it comes to a sex offender, they would love to, but however, they hand them over to, which I would call it jungle justice, by putting them in the prison system and putting them in population and allow them to get killed in that situation. So I think it all boils down to the justice system is not fair with how they got laws, who they want to kill, like the brother said, who they decide to take a life and then tell you can't take a life, but they can, and they make mistakes and kill the wrong person. So it boils down to, I think I'm not for jungle justice. However, though, I do understand what the brother was talking about when it comes to the justice system.
And actually, you are right, because in America, what I've noticed is that jungle justice is served up, like you said, in the prison population,
right?
Where the law itself or the prosecutor or whoever leaks that information that, hey, in D block there is such and such a person.
Right.
And in general population though, jungle justice, as far as I've seen, does not exist, because there was a case 2 weeks ago where an old lady was walking with 3 young kids, 2 twin boys and a young girl. And this guy just ran up, snatched the girl out of her hand and ran off. Now, this grandmother had to leave the 2 young boys, chase after him, screaming for help. And it was passerby, motorists, pedestrians that stopped him. And, after they stopped him, he put the child down like nothing had happened and walked away. And I'm like, hold on, is this real? In Jamaica, that person would have gotten beaten right there and then. Justice would have been administered right there and then. So I agree with you. It's the judicial system is so twisted and broken, right? They use the incarcerated population to administer jungle justice, so to say, because
and I'm thinking
it's
that
not general.
And I'm thinking that they'll probably do that over there. I know law is law, and I know it's some crookedness going on all over this world when it comes to law, the judicial system. And I'm sure that they don't protect certain people that they put out there in the community, or they know certain people's gonna be held by jungle justice out there, and they're probably okay with it. But then,
Oh yes.
but then on certain cases, they're not okay with it, and you see it's bias, and that's what allows jungle justice to exist.
Oh
Um,
yes.
They permit it.
100.
um,
100.
Brian, just going back to what Maxwell said, right? And hearing his experience, you know, it's just fascinating that the law itself can ask a criminal behind bars to get rid of a pedophile or a sex offender.
Oh yeah. Listen, Jermaine, I know personally that it happens in Jamaica because for the very longest time it was a standing running joke with like me and my brothers, and you know that hey, this family right here, they have links to the wardens or the guards that if you do so and so, you know, even if you commit a crime, they can say, hey, put you in cell number 2, or you know what I mean? So it does happen. It really does happen. But I want to move away from focusing so much on the law itself because, like you said, Maxwell, the law is it's crooked in almost every country. But my thing is now, are all the members of the mob out for justice? Are some just looking for blood and excitement?
A little bit of both, Brian. Some
Well,
are actually out for justice because of frustration, right? Some are just real
Right.
frustration, and they have some that is in the mix that just really just want to hurt somebody.
See, I look at it as like a beehive, right? A beehive will just follow the queen, and that mob will just follow that one prominent person in the area. So if that one prominent person is out for blood, the mob is out for blood. If they're out for justice, then the mob is out for justice. And it's disturbing because I listened to a program the other day where a young man was given his experience of being wrongfully accused. And when he said that, the crowd was there ready to beat him. And he looked at an old woman and said, you know, what if you're wrong? Her response was, well, if a dirt, a dirt. So you can clearly see that at times there are just some people that are out for blood.
well,
No,
re-
yeah, go on, Travis.
really and true, yeah. I don't think the jungle justice is there to have you in a court and listen to your side of the story and decide like a judge if you're right or you're wrong. So
Yeah.
them most of them didn't not really try to decide. Personally, I'm not really with the jungle justice. But what I'm saying is that sometimes the law is not effective. And if we go deeper, which I will not go in terms of how some of the garrisons are run, in terms of township, it's much similar, but I won't go there.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that probably if the law move more effective, it will have less jungle justice. But as I'm saying, meanwhile, why I have a jungle justice is that because the people really know the person sometimes, you know, and the police now move as quick as them. But I believe everybody deserves a chance going for the court. But if it's a case like, honestly, it's sound harsh. But if a case like rapist, I can't go with that one. But me kind of back the jungle justice on that one. I
Yeah,
swear once,
Okay.
once
Well,
me know say that
you see,
person.
I see, Travis, I understand where you're coming from, and I think that's where most people are triggered by emotions right there with the rapist, because nobody can stand a rapist, right?
Especially with a little girl.
Yeah,
but let me just say this.
but at the same time, a gunman is out there is taking many lives, but yet the community won't rise up against him.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I say, you know, I won't go to the part with the dance shift and those things.
All right. No, let me just say this, right? Because crime happens world over. But quick thoughts. why is jungle justice mainly prevalent in third world countries? Just a quick point.
I think Chabi just answered as well. The law needs to play its part as well. They need
So you sure it's just the law, Jermaine? Because here in America as well, as Maxwell can testify, the law is also broken.
Ye-
Do you think that this whole jungle justice subconsciously goes a lot deeper than just, the law itself or the person itself?
Yeah, you can say the law in America is broken as well. I could possibly say the law in Canada is broken as well. But the law in Jamaica is far more broken compared to America.
So you think it's just the law, or is it a thing? Because jungle justice happens in Africa too,
Yeah.
right? And it happens in almost every third world country. So could it be a thing where, because of slavery, and we have that mentality from back then where it's something happens, it's beat and fight, and we need that justice. So we
I,
need to take matters into our own hands.
I won't even go that far, Brian. Is again like what Travis said. You see, if the law can step up 9 out of 10 times, there's a possibility we see less jungle justice in Jamaica. But if the law just leave it to the community to go out and hunt and kill this person, then it's always going to be there.
All right. Well, last point. I just want to hear, quick yes or no. Do you think corporal punishment would be more effective than jungle justice? Jungle justice, sorry.
Yeah, I'm never for jungle justice.
Right, but corporal punishment is the same, death penalty, taking of a life.
Well, taken up a life by the law. But
Right.
yeah, why? I still believe when I'm gonna prove that person guilty and
And
why?
that's my issue, Chavi. You see, I know our justice system is like. I mean, you have people in our prison system, not even prison, our jail system lasts for 10 or 15 years and they don't even
Exactly.
face court as yet.
I not tell them story. Can't
And
tell them story.
Can't tell
No.
them story. So that in itself would need to fix. You'd have to get strong evidence before you can sentence someone to death.
Yeah, but
So
legally it will be done.
basically, there's a lot of reform needed
And correct me if I'm
all
wrong.
around.
I think the death penalty in Jamaica is abolished, right?
Yeah, it's been abolished for a very, very long time. A very, very long time. Because the only form of, punishment in that form that we would have had is hanging. And hanging has been abolished for a long time.
Yeah.
But, like I said, there's serious reform needed because, you can see with the judicial system is concerned as well as jungle justice, there's a lot of curry favors. There's a lot of favoritism because, sliding into our next point, that murderous cult that was recently discovered in Jamaica, right? If the judicial system works properly, I think, that leader should face some serious time. I don't know if all the members, of the podcast have seen what's going on. I mean, y'all should have been up to date with this because it's on everyone's lip in Jamaica right now.
Mr. My name is Mr. Smith, Pastor Smith,
Pastor Smith.
the magician, the deliverance
Yeah,
man.
yeah. So apparently he was very charismatic and charming and kind, and he used all of those just to deceive and to mask his intentions.
Question, Brian. Is it harsh to call his followers fool?
No, definitely not, because there's no other word to call them.
Because how can you be this foolish? How can you be this stupid? How can you be this
Brainwash.
Word
um
says people
oh
perish.
hold on there. How can you be this ignorant? How can you just blatantly be just a big fool to the point where you're even borrowing money, borrowing loan, right? To
Yeah.
so-called go on this man arc, right?
Arc.
Arc. Like, like, you know, I can forgive the kids who were in this because they're basically were following the leads of their parents or auntie. But how can a grown adult with a brain agree to something like this?
Well, honestly, Jermaine, I don't know. But Ryan, before I hear your point, I don't know if Maxwell is fully aware of what's this story about. Because here in America, Jermaine, there's been many, many, many incidents of cults popping up. I mean, one after the other, they pop up frequently. So I don't know if it's just the people are foolish, are these leaders just very charismatic and well spoken? Ryan, let me hear what you were gonna say, please.
I want to be very articulate and clear in a lot of what I'm going to share concerning what has taken place. I'm gonna share from a Christian's perspective. Being a Christian saved about 7 years now, to God be the glory. Once an atheist, and I met the Lord through healing, and I started to exercise the word, and from exercising the word, I started seeing God manifest in my life more and more in prayer, in my life changing, in terms of things I used to do, I just couldn't do them no more. I always feel that conviction to turn as the word is leading me. You know, let's dispel one thing. That's not a church. So the person saying church, that's a church, that's a cult.
Believe Pastor Smith will disagree with you.
Okay. So as I'm sharing now, it's so unfortunate what has happened because of my perspective that all I see is that two souls were lost that night, two lives lost, two souls. You know what I mean? Persons being tricked, manipulated, but it shows what the big issue is amongst Christians. I'm saying I'm sharing from a Christian's perspective and how we are viewing the situation. Or a lot of us are viewing it. When you don't have a personal relationship with God for yourself, a lot of these ministers can pop up who have the wrong intentions, but because you're not in the word, you have not developed a personal relationship with God. Because a lot of us Christians, this is the reality. We read the Bible, but we don't study. We don't study to get revelation, to get a deep understanding of who God is and who God is to us. So a lot of ministers can pop up who have their own personal agendas. They manipulate, they lie, they deceive, and then you just run with it because you don't know it for yourself, because they're telling you everything and you're running with it as gospel. Because even him building an ark, right? You learned in the book of Genesis that um, after the flood, God made a promise to us, which was the form of a rainbow, where He said to us, He's not going to destroy the earth by a flood again, right? So having that knowledge from Him coming to you with that, in your faith, you know that something right here. So then you have to pay to go on that ark.
Um,
Why aren't you asking the questions to say, sir, I that must in the Bible? Because you're led by the Bible, not by a man. You know what I mean? God puts a shepherd over to help guide you closer to God and you for fulfill your purpose in God, but not to take control of your life and dictate everything that you do. That's not biblical. So when you made a point and you say they are fools, yes, they are fools that they allow themselves to be manipulated and tricked.
All right, Ryan, stick up point. Let me hear what Jermaine has said.
yeah. Based on what Ryan was saying, something about knowing the words of the law by yourself, right? So that include you would read your Bible and stuff like that, right? Right, Ryan?
Yeah.
I don't know the Bible, and that is just 100% honesty right there. And this man could have never come to me and pitch an idea like that. Because
I can share why.
why I wouldn't share that? Yeah, share.
Share. It shows, the reality of a lot of persons is that we are moved by our selfish desires and itching ears, which is a scripture. It tells you how the heart of man is. You know what I mean? So when it comes to certain, all right, put it out, we licky licky. I'm gonna put the layman term, we licky licky. So me I come to you and promise you say, yeah, if you give me 100,000, I give that healing water here, and it gonna clear up this and that. If you give me 20,000, yeah, I go come upon riches, and you get me. I say a lot of persons like that.
No,
This,
Ryan, stick a point there, Jeremy.
yeah.
See, Ryan just mentioned something. Now, is it a thing where you think these members, quote unquote, were just looking to be part of a clique, the next hot thing that popped up? They just wanted to be like, all right, I'm part of Mr. Smith's congregation, and Mr. Smith is the next hot thing in town, because we've all seen the pictures with him and Portia Simpson Miller, our former prime minister, circulating around.
I'm a lot of people.
Yeah. So is it a thing where, the members thought that he had connection, and, with his connections, they would get their blessings? Because one of the things reportedly he said is, whatever you give, you will receive tenfold like Job. So do you think they were brainwashed into believing that, or they just wanted to be a part of his circle?
Brian, Ryan said that this was no church, right? You know what I say? This man is a scammer, and this man a chop better than enough of the one them we are twang.
And him not lying.
100%
And
with
he's
less
not-
I
risk.
said the same thing.
And he's not even taking up his phone and dialing overseas. And you see, our government need to play some role in this as well. We need to start go harder on some of these churches. Some of them are here just to take poor people money. And yeah, I said it.
Yes.
You see that Universal Church up there? We see you. We see you.
Call them out.
We see using religion to rob poor people. You guys are worse than the so-called people that give out loan.
And Jermaine, that's always been a thing in Jamaica, because Jamaica has more churches per square mile than any country in the world.
And they don't pay tax as well.
Good question. All right.
Yes.
Sorry if you intrude, but Jeremy, I agree with you when this is saying is a scammer. Me sit down and look into it, and the first thing come to mind was this man a chopper and a take up a food.
Exactly.
So, but how long has this man, before I make the point, I want to know how long has this man been a pastor and been doing this church thing?
Nobody.
Because I think it's a couple of years, well.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So, all right, so therefore, all right, first thing with the Universal Church, yes, we see them, but the people have a responsibility. We're not going to blame the government, because the people have a responsibility to know where they be a part of. So with Mr. Smith now, it can be certain cases. One, it can be that him start out, whether you want to call it a church or a church not, to him a pastor, and him make a church. So I'm going to stick with him having a church, because enough of them church and I read the church, and Mr. Smith get catch and will it more left.
Yeah, I agree. There's a lot more out there.
Exactly. So this man probably can start out the right way and him probably do a scam, as well as this man, it can be a cult thing in which the devil are using. No, if it is a thing where the devil are using, it will be easy for brainwash these people. Yes, because
Agreed,
I
Travis. Agreed.
hear one man say, him say a thing and it come to pass. Now, if you tell me say tomorrow, the sky I got turn red, you tell me something for the whole week. And for the whole week, everything you tell me say me see it. Of course, I believe they are a prophet, but they are a false prophet being used by the devil. So they got hard not to brainwash me. Tell
Chabi,
me, because I believe you. But
Chabi,
it is, yeah.
let me ask you, this man is just a skill man where we know to manipulate people.
No, that is true, but the thing is, I see if him do it that way, the person, them I blame them as well. I can't solely blame the pastor. Because you know what? You must this is some sign or something. I tell me that's stupid. And as well as enough of them probably didn't know say it was a cult church, but they never expect it to reach this far. But them I get riches or them I get this or them I get that and they want to be a part of that. But you see, know that it reaches yeah, so people start dead. And you look at them
And
lose for them life, everybody start talk out and everybody start this and everybody start that. But when time
stick a
it
pin,
happen,
Travis. You said they were benefiting and they wanted to be a part of it. I fully agree with you. They
of
wanted to
course,
be
guys,
a part of that clique.
that's why I say don't blame the universal church because I've never been there. What a person is saying is that them get
No,
back
no,
from what they give.
let's not, we don't want to send out a interpretation that the
And you know,
universal church
yeah,
is a cult as
which
well.
is
You
right.
know.
But no, no,
I'm
no.
just saying that we see you guys and we're very suspicious of you guys as well. That big church that look like a mall.
Well, that and many of them. Because it's a thing where all right, it's just like this thing. If you are investing in something,
Yeah.
and you get returns, you're not gonna want to stop. But if one day your investment take a drastic turn to something where you don't really want to say, yo, you know, want to be a part of that again, you have to start coming out and talk about, oh, this did this and this did that. So tell me something now. Is it that because the police step in and break up this thing, but I brainwash again, you can't talk everything what the man that do from 19 long till now, you never see it long time. And she said this are some manners. We might go on over long. So me kind of blame the people them too.
I mean,
Then they brainwash I blame them too.
I've heard person said that they've been a member for many years and never see any signs of, you know, sacrifice and those sort of things.
Because the time come now. That's why.
But Ryan,
But
Ryan, that you can't be that blind for you are a part of something for 7 years and you not think something is off.
No,
but
Jermaine, stick
From
a
a
pin.
scripture
It's hold on the
we
Ryan. It's not being that blind enough. It's the
no,
fact
Brian.
that they were benefiting at the point.
Brian,
exactly.
as the word
Yeah,
say, what of us would be are willfully ignorant. We
of
choose
course,
to turn to it.
of
So
course.
I'm
the
sorry.
No,
I'm sorry to say, but God need to come off a vacation and strike on certain people, and I won't take that back.
So no, is it that if Mr. Smith is gonna get charged, I believe that all of them members of the church will go to jail with them. The one of them will go and keep them church. The whole lot of because you can't even if you never see somebody dead, brother, you tell me say nothing never happened. You will kind of suspect say Ray as and Ray I never think him that literal talk a literal arc like that thing. But since
no,
him
it
got
wasn't a
that
literal
far,
arc.
since him got that far, yeah, tell me say over the 7 years, 3 years, 10 years, him never said something or do something where kind of make you think. So why the man we out the road, but probably hear about the church or have a relative about the church, him this see something or hear something kind of soon off him. So your faith that strong in him where you couldn't. Why me blame them?
Chavi, you see, this is like a case where, you know, you love a girl, I you see her messed up ways, but turn a blind eye to it.
Exactly. I guess you're right.
Well, like you said, Travi, every member should face some form of prosecution, and this is where we will see if our judicial system really is granting favors to certain members of society. I mean, We know it does, but this is a case where, aha, I've caught you red-handed. Now let's
Well,
see what the judicial system is going to do. And
honestly, Brian,
also, where was jungle justice when this was happening?
no, but remember you wouldn't get a jungle justice in that case because the police, I don't know if they can get intel or whatever you know them reach the scene, but the police was there. And with the system, I'm not in the case investigating the case, but I think I hear certain person get bail and probably have four of them leave along with the pastor. So I don't have much faith in the system already.
Exactly, exactly. Anyway, these topics have been some really serious topics, very heavy and opinionated. I want to close off with something lighthearted, and it's the question of who should be Jamaica's next national hero. I don't know if anyone's seen that question circulating on social media, and it's they have three contestants that they put forward. Miss Lou, Louise Bennett, R.I.P. Bob Marley, the great, and the fastest man ever, you see it, Bolt. I want to know what you guys think.
What
Do
are
we
the
need another national hero? And if so, who do you think?
what are the is there a qualification like a system of how one become a national hero?
You see, Jermaine, I'm glad you asked that question. I am really glad you asked that question because, what are the criterias? Because if there's no criteria, then any, Tom, Dick, and Harry can throw his hat into that basket. But
Or is it the body of work that one does throughout
and
their life?
that's the point I was coming to. I believe that our national hero should have a body of work that benefits the country as a whole, not just individual accolades.
Then it's fair to say that let's take Usain Bolt out of this. I'm not saying
I agree.
I'm not
No,
saying
I
he
agree.
will be a suitable candidate, but this man is still living his life, and this man making music and thing. And the next thing I hear, oh, I'm a national hero and I make dancehall song. So it seems like the
So question,
criteria when you do your body of work and then when you're dead, then you can review your qualifications.
And the
so
thing is,
question,
now in a German, Usain Bolt thing is all mainly individual accolades where, fastest man alive,
Mhm.
we love that, you know, countless gold medals at Olympics and, track and field events, we love that. But the thing is, Jamaica's name has always been on the map before Usain.
But let me say this, Brian. They will never put a Rasta man up there. And I'm preaching because I myself are blacks. So they will never put one up there with a big head split.
You sure?
Positive.
Well, I
so
mean, yeah, go on, Charlie.
so question, why the hero have to be dead? It could be
That
you see about a living
no,
hero, a
but
living legend.
that's the thing I'm asking, Chabi. You have to wait till they do a body of work and then you pronounce dead, then they review you.
Well, that more of know it, but really and truly, if I should choose, all right, I wouldn't choose the same boat. And if me have to choose between Miss Lou and Bob Marley, I believe the two of them do some excellent work, and I will choose both of them. But not right now the same boat because he has done great work as well. But really and truly, none of them because I don't think Jamaica need a next national hero right now.
Well, that's a fair point. That's a fair point, Travi. But if it's a case where we have to choose one, another thing that I look on is their work should live on, longer than they've been gone. It should draw attention to the country, our problems that the country are facing. It should highlight something and help to change whatever is going on.
Bob Marley.
And that's the only person I see, Jermaine, Bob Marley.
Um,
Because while Miss Lou did great work, she mainly tried to make Jamaicans have self-pride in our dialect, self-pride in our culture. But Bob
But
Marley's work, without a doubt,
But
has lived on.
like I
Yeah, go on.
said, they would never put a Rasta man out there.
but
Our country is not wired like that. We will put him on a postcard and present him to tourists.
so yeah, say I give Rasta man too much power for my you.
Pretty much.
How much
Well,
about Marley song they have in Patwa?
I good
maybe all of
Because
question.
them.
Good
I think
question.
I miss slow make the world know Patwa still.
She's the forefront of this forerunner of this Creole thing. I mean, she's an amazing woman. By right, both of them should go up to the hero status. I mean, if you review some of our heroes, I'm pretty sure we could have probably take down a couple.
Probably.
And I like when I dash it, you see and still. I feel like Ryan would agree with you see
No,
because we support the same team and everything. So I feel like
No,
that.
it's
but Chappie, would you say about us agree to something like that? I highly doubt it.
No,
so
kind
do
of
I.
want to be a role model and everything.
So do I. Well, this is, one of those questions that I would love to hear the feedback from the listeners. I would love to hear what you guys think. Do we need another national hero? And if so, who should it be between the three people mentioned? But in wrapping up, I just want to say, Jamaica, be safe, be your brother's keeper, look out for each other, and stay strong. All right, people. It was a pleasure as usual, and safe travel upon the gravel. Maxwell, it was a joy and a pleasure having you on the show tonight.
Thanks. I definitely appreciated the invite, and I definitely like the vibe. You brothers keep doing what you're doing. Keep speaking on these issues. These are some great topics that I'm sure that the controversial topics where some people don't want to discuss and some people don't want to say certain things because they might offend someone. But I think this is great dialogue. So you guys, you stay encouraged and continue to do what you're doing. And thanks again for having me on the show. And
No,
to answer that last question that you just asked about the national,
yeah,
I think that once someone do get a spotlight on them like a national hero, I think that's when the nation itself should step up and make sure that since the light is on you all at that time, I think the nation need to step up during those times and invite that person to certain areas and it's social media go far now. So
really.
didn't have social media back then with Bob Marley, things like that. But now you got the social media, so you got to have a platform and hold that person to a high regards to be involved in like this podcast. Lord's will, the podcast continue growing, and you have a national hero come through, and y'all discuss these type of topics, so that when the light is on you all, that you all are prepared to speak to the world.
Yeah, we would love that. We would definitely love that.
Yeah.
Respect, Maxwell. Respect.
Thank you. Respect, my brothers.
Yeah, man them. Until next time, this is your host, Zian, straight and plain. Before I sign off, Jeremy, what's your point?
I would like to give a big shout out to all the subscribers that we got, who leave their comments and who continue to like and share. And for the ones that who know us and show us no love, we still appreciate you guys. But we see you guys.
See you too. We see
you guys. Keep supporting people who don't even know you, but ignore the ones that walk beside you. Much love.
Yeah, we'll see you. All right, people. Until then, this is your host, Zian, straight and plain. Enough love. I'm out.